Have you ever felt like you're just spinning your wheels? Like no matter how hard you push, some invisible force is just holding you back? Well, today we're going to tear that apart. We're diving deep into a truly radical idea from Dr. David R. Hawkins, which is this: your life isn't controlled by what you do, it's controlled by your energy level. We're going to unpack a blueprint that shows you exactly what hidden forces are shaping your reality, and more importantly, give you a practical way to shift from that constant struggle to a state of, well, effortless power.
I mean, you see it all the time, right? On one side, you've got the struggle. It's that chaotic, tangled mess of friction and just grinding it out. That's where most of us live. But then you see the anomaly. These are the people, the companies that just seem to succeed so easily. Everything flows in the smooth, upward curve. So what's the real difference here? It's not that they have more information. It's about the quality of their energy and their ability to tap into what's true. So what even is this energy? This right here, this is the core idea that changes the entire game. What this is really saying is that what we do is way less important than the energetic state we're in when we do it. Every single decision, every relationship, every single outcome in your life is just a reflection of your internal setting. And this creates a fundamental split that we're about to get into.
Okay, so to really get this, we need to dissect the two big opposing energy states that define pretty much the entire human experience. Dr. Hawkins gave them simple names: force and power. And you got to understand, they're not just a little different, they are fundamentally completely different ways of being. Just look at this stark contrast. On the left, you've got force. This is the world of stuff you can see and argue about. It runs on coercion, on creating win-lose situations. It always needs to be justified, defended, with laws and rules, and the bottom line? It's a massive, constant drain of energy. But then on the right, you have power. It's the total opposite. It's effortless. It's self-evident. It just is. It lines up with truth and positive action, it needs zero defense, and it actually generates meaning and joy. One literally drains life, and the other one affirms it. So the big question is, how do you get from one side to the other? Well, Dr. Hawkins created this incredible tool for exactly that. It's called the Map of Consciousness, and I want you to think of it like a GPS for your inner world. It charts the entire unseen landscape of our emotions from the absolute lowest to the very highest. And here it is. This map calibrates the energy of every single human emotion on a logarithmic scale from 1 to 1,000. Now, those numbers aren't just random. Because the scale is logarithmic, which is just a fancy way of saying that a small step up numerically is actually a massive leap in real-world power. You'll see the map is split by a critical line right there at level 200. So let's take a look at what's going on below it. So below that waterline, you find the entire architecture of force. These are what he called negative attractor patterns, meaning they literally pull more of that same low-energy stuff into your life. They drain energy from you and from everyone around you. It starts at the very bottom with shame, at a level of 20, which is dangerously close to death. And as you go up, you hit things like fear at 100, which is all about manipulation, and even pride at 175, which seems good, but it's actually super brittle and defensive, and it blocks any real growth. Living down here is basically life in survival mode.
But then, once you cross that critical line, man, everything flips. Above the waterline is the architecture of power. These are strong, positive attractor fields that actively generate and support life. Here's where you find willingness at 310, which is the gateway to crazy fast growth. Reason at 400, the level of science and intellect, and love at 500, which isn't the romantic kind, but this unconditional, radiating state of being.
So, this is the pivot point, the absolute linchpin of the whole map. Courage, calibrated right at 200. This is the first moment an individual stops taking energy from the world around them and actually starts contributing energy back. It's where life stops being this scary, dreadful thing and starts to feel like a series of exciting challenges. This is, without a doubt, the single most important leap a person can make.
Now, I know what you might be thinking. How in the world did he get these numbers? Is this just some philosophy? Nope, not at all. Dr. Hawkins actually used a fascinating and repeatable scientific method to calibrate this whole map by tapping into a truth detection system that we literally all have built into our bodies.
It's called applied kinesiology, or just muscle testing. And it's not magic, it's a real biological feedback loop that's hardwired into our nervous system. So look, the process is dead simple. You hold a thought or an object, that's the stimulus. Your own nervous system acts as a biological filter, and it instantly knows if that thing is life-affirming, calibrating above 200, or if it's life-detracting, below 200. And what's the result? Well, you get a physical response. If the stimulus is true or positive, a muscle, like in your arm, locks up strong. If it's false or negative, that same muscle just goes weak instantly.
Now, the body's truth detector is incredibly consistent, but it is sensitive. It operates under some pretty strict conditions designed to make sure you get a pure biological signal, not just personal opinion. So, both people involved have to be calibrated above that 200 level of courage. Their intention has to be totally objective, no personal stake in the answer. Even the environment can't be energetically toxic. It just shows that while we all have this amazing internal compass, we need to be in a state of integrity to actually read it right.
Okay, so knowing the map is one thing, but actually climbing it, well, that's the whole point, isn't it? So let's get down to brass tacks. Let's move to a practical framework you can actually use to start deliberately moving out of those lower states of force and into the higher states of power. This four-step model makes it super actionable. First up, what? You have to get brutally honest with yourself about where you're actually at on the map, and do it without judgment. Second, how? You need a conscious game plan to shift upward, which we'll get to next. Third, why? You have to really understand the massive impact this shift is going to have on your life, because that's your fuel. And finally, when? You got to apply this stuff in real time, moment to moment, for it to stick.
And here's your playbook for putting it into practice. Step 1 is just simple awareness. What am I actually feeling right now? Then you consciously choose a higher state. Now, this isn't about faking it. It's not about pretending you're not angry. It's about choosing a different action. So instead of avoiding that tough conversation out of fear, you choose to have it with courage. Instead of lashing out in anger, you can choose to pause and try to respond with understanding. It's all about aligning your behavior with truth and integrity and slowly building new habits that support these higher states naturally.
You know, a critical trait for making this climb is willingness. Right there at level 310. This is the absolute gateway to rapid progress. And it's not about forcing anything. It's about a deep, profound openness. It's the willingness to drop your defenses, to let go of old stories, and just consider that maybe, just maybe, there's a better way. Without this, we all just stay stuck.
All right, let's zoom out now, because this isn't just about some personal development project. The energy level of every single one of us creates a ripple effect that literally shapes the entire world.
Just look at these real-world examples. It plays out everywhere. In politics, you have Gandhi, who calibrated at a remarkable 700. He dismantled the British Empire, which was operating from force at 175. His power came from principle, from truth. In business, you see companies that operate from high-energy states having low turnover and success, while those built on force eventually crumble. Power always wins in the long run. It's just a matter of time.
And this is where it gets absolutely staggering. Because that scale is logarithmic, the math is exponential. It's insane. A single individual operating at the level of love, at 500, counterbalances the negative energy of 750,000 individuals below 200. One person. One person at enlightenment counterbalances millions. Your personal evolution has a massive, unimaginable impact on the collective.
And here's the best part. For centuries, the collective consciousness of all humanity was stuck down at 190, a level of force, just shy of that critical line of courage. But then, in the mid-1980s, something incredible happened. We crossed the threshold. As a species, we jumped to 207. For the first time in known history, the collective energy field of humanity is now one that inherently sustains life rather than drains it.
So, what this all leads to is a profound, radical sense of accountability. We can't plead ignorance anymore. We all have this compass built into our nervous system, this thing that knows truth from falsehood, which means that working on raising your own personal calibration isn't some selfish act. It is the single greatest thing you can do for the world. It is the main engine of all human progress.
So I'll leave you with this to think about. Now that you have the blueprint, now that you really know the difference between the exhausting grind of force and that effortless flow of power, what transformation is just waiting to be unlocked in your own life by you choosing to align with what's true?